Cheers, guys, and welcome to Uncle Scott's Pancast podcast. Pretty tasty. I will let you know what I'm pouring later in the Pancast. In this episode, we were talking butter and eggs. Going to talk ghee. I know there's some ghee heads out there. We're going to talk omelet pans. I've done some testing on this Breville induction burner. Going to go through some more test results from that. And what I want to start with, though, is Debouille, the big carbon steel sale. Lots of people missed out because they sold out of those 12.5-inch Debouille Mineral B Pro kind of flagship level carbon steel frying pans. The sale is technically supposed to be expired. I talked to Debouille this morning, and there are two huge updates here. One is that they're going to get a restock on the Mineral B Pros that went out of stock. I believe they have air freight coming in from France. I'd like to think we caused some of this to happen. Who knows about that? But technically the sale is supposed to be over. And what I asked them to do, though, is extend the sale. So we are going to extend the sale through the 17th now. And if you missed out the first time on the Mineral B Pros because they were out of stock, they're going to be back in stock. I believe they said on the 12th or 13th. They're going to let me know. You're going to get another chance at it. So 25% off all carbon steel at Debouille with the link below and discount code Uncle Scott. You don't technically have to be subscribed to Uncle Scott's Kitchen to take advantage of the sale, although it would be very nice if you were. Make sure, though, if you're subscribed, make sure you turn your notifications on, because when that restock happens, I'm going to let everybody know when those Mineral B Pros are in stock. They sold out in about 36 hours last week, so they're probably going to go pretty quick. If you want one, you're going to have to jump on them when they get restocked. So very happy to be working with Debouille and very grateful to them for doing the sale for us. It's going to be the best price you see on their carbon steel of the season. Jump on it if you see something you want and it's in stock. For those of you wondering, Mable is still around. How you doing? Almost 5 months old now and growing like a weed. And I may be a little biased, but I think cute as a button. And hopefully you're not going to scream while Dad is doing the Pancast. Let's talk omelet pans here. WVU Brad wrote in and asked, what size omelet pan do you recommend? They come in 9.5 and 11-inch models. Talking about those Debouilles, I have the 9.5 here, regular series with the coated handle. And I have the 11, this one in the Pro version. It really depends as far as size on how many eggs do you cook. Also, not to get too far in the weeds, extra large, large, etc., etc. I usually bust out 1 or 2 eggs, fried eggs, and have those on a piece of toast in the mornings. I think the 9.5 is absolutely perfect for that. The tipping point is somewhere around 3 eggs. You can get 3 in here, especially if you're doing scrambled. If you're doing scrambled or omelets and going 3 or 4 eggs, I would go with the 11. So it just depends on how many eggs you're going to cook. Personal note, I've got a wife, I got 2 kids, and we don't have the same breakfast schedule, so I usually make my eggs for myself. This is the perfect size for 1 person. Yes. Let's see, along those lines, I tested cooking some fried eggs on this Breville this week, and I found some good settings for the carbon steel to get non-stick over easy fried eggs. I used the exact same settings this morning for this Mauviel stainless steel 10-inch pan, and I cooked 3 eggs and they all stuck. One of them kind of half slid, so it half stuck and half slid. That's right. And it's interesting because I used the same settings, I used the same carton of eggs, same stick of butter, I think, yet one pan stuck and the eggs were non-stick in another pan. What's the difference? I think the difference is the thermal mass. So I am going to continue testing on the Mauviel until I get it dialed in. And I'll let you know the exact settings to get non-stick in the stainless steel. I actually eat the eggs I cook even if they're not perfect. And I was just tired of eating eggs. It's going to take another breakfast or 2 to get it dialed in. See more on the Induction Breville Ken Crane 9726. Ken Crane 9726. He writes in and says, sounds like you are enjoying your new toy. Looks like Induction isn't the boogeyman that you originally thought it was. I've never thought Induction was a boogeyman. What I didn't like about Induction is I had that other induction burner which tended to cause some problems, not heat evenly, and warped a few pans. I don't like that. But I also didn't like feeling like the Induction was part of someone else's agenda. So if someone says the planet's overpopulated, humans are bad, I want you to eat bugs, quit eating meat, quit cooking with gas, use Induction, then it kind of gets like an annoying part of someone's agenda. So I don't like that, but the technology itself, I got no problem with. We're just heating a frying pan. But as long as it cooks nicely and doesn't ruin my frying pans, I honestly don't care that much about how a pan is heated. Gas stoves, there's definitely a little bit more romance, I think, with those. But I like the Induction as well. Just don't make me cook up a mess of crickets to eat. Let's see, along those lines, Pacman_17 saw the video where I was cooking fried eggs on the Breville in a debouillé, and he says it was helpful, but he also says his eggs have been sticking using the Induction burner. And what he's doing is dropping 3 eggs straight from the fridge into an 8-inch debouillé and wondering about uneven heating. I don't think it's a heating problem there. What I think the problem is maybe the pan is too small for 3 eggs, but what jumps out to me about this comment, he says 3 eggs straight from the fridge. My fridge is at 34 degrees. That is almost freezing. So you're taking an almost frozen egg and trying to cook it. It does not work well. Let those eggs warm up to room temperature. If you're in a hurry, put them in a bowl of warm water. But don't try to cook almost frozen eggs. They will be stuck like a duck. Let's see, John Harper, 257, says, hey Scott, hi Scott, great as always. Your comment about letting the water cook out of the butter reminded me to ask you if you have ever cooked eggs or other things using ghee or clarified butter. Have some ghee right here. Uh-oh, what's wrong? And I think for fried eggs, once you get your technique dialed in, regular butter works just fine. I'm going to throw out a tip here. If you're trying to do kind of real deal French omelets, the kind that Julia Child would cook in about 12 to 14 seconds, it's going to be a lot higher heat. Butter tends to brown at that heat and in that short amount of time. That's when I use a little bit of ghee, and I would try a teaspoon. Hello. If you're trying to do a real deal French omelet, I would try a teaspoon of peanut oil along with a teaspoon of ghee, and it kind of gives you a little more wiggle room with that higher heat to get your omelet cooked before anything browns. That's true. Fred Wiedner-F1E asks, writes in, he's speaking of sticking, he has tried frying some breaded chicken breasts, and it was a disaster. And breading came off, and he had to re-season his carbon steel pan and wants some suggestions. In that instance, I'm going to say more than likely your pan was not hot enough, and then you probably added your oil and didn't let your oil come up to heat. Now, most of the time when something just fuses to the pan, I think it's probably a heat issue. So I would recommend trying a little more heat on that pan, let it preheat just a little bit longer, add your oil. Once the pan is warm, let that oil heat up, maybe try a little test drop of batter or breading, or some people will take a wooden spoon or spatula, stick that in there and see if it sizzles. Make sure it's sizzling, and then add the breaded chicken. And I think you might get a lot better result. Let's see, carbon steel seasoning. Vardela wrote in and said they gave the first seasoning to a pan and got bad results. Used steel wool to clean the carbon steel. Later did a more proper seasoning, but if there were scratches on the pan as a result of using steel wool, could these be harmful to health? With carbon steel, I don't think there would be any harm with little micro scratches from carbon steel. Carbon steel should be homogeneous all the way through the pan. If you had a chemical coated nonstick, a Teflon, for example, and scratched that up with some stainless steel, the pan would be ruined. And that might be unhealthy, but with carbon steel, it should be the exact same. And lots of people think that those scratches, the next time you season, give that seasoning something to grip to. So I do not worry at all about tiny scratches in carbon steel. Let's see, Trent Boyette 6048 writes in and says, pro tip, please do not obsessively rub your hands together while you're on camera near the microphone. It picks up the sound. I have no idea why I do that, but I notice when I edit video, I rub my hands together in some of the videos. I don't do it in normal life. I have no idea why, but perhaps holding a squawking baby instead will prevent me from doing that. Sound effects. I occasionally use sound effects in some of my videos, and it's very divisive. And I get this all the time. TR1ST1 says, Uncle Scott, I really like it when you use those sound effects. It makes the review more fun. Claudie771 says, I don't like the sound effects. Some people love them, some people hate them. I will throw out, though, if you're going to talk to someone about a frying pan for a 37-minute YouTube video, you got to have a few things in there to keep it interesting and fun. So I like the sound effects. Let's see, what am I pouring today? This is some Glenmorangie Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. Says it's distilled in Scotland, which is one of the things you look for in a Scotch, I would say. This is the La Santa. Does that mean the saint in some sort of Romance language? Says rich, spicy, and sweet with notes of raisins, honeycomb, chocolate-covered hazelnuts, and cinnamon. I think it's pretty tasty, although I don't know if I can discern the honeycomb. Let's see, Glenmorangie though, 12 years old. Oh no, that noise means the Pancast is almost over. I sometimes tear up myself. Make sure your notifications are turned on. If you want to know about the Debouillet Restock, jump on the carbon steel sale while it's still there. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time on Uncle Scott's Pancast podcast. Yay! Yay!